What's up, ladies and gents? Welcome back again to the Pod on the Go show. I'm your host, Raz. And today is March 4th, 2021. And today we're going to be analyzing a great podcast. The podcast I chose today is a very niche one. You probably never heard of it. Maybe you have. And if you have, then we're probably good friends. We could be good friends. And it's called Batman, the Animated Series, the podcast. Or Batman, the Animated Podcast with Justin Michael. If you haven't heard of it before, here's a brief bio. This is Justin Michael. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Batman, the Animated Podcast is an audio show hosted by Justin Michael. Each episode features an interview and discussion about an episode of Batman, the Animated Series with a fan of the show from the world of animation, film, or comedy. A special guest who worked on the TV show back in the 90s and sometimes both. Why? Because I love this show and you probably do too. It's an interview variety show for your ears about a decades-old TV show made up week to week by a person who has no affiliation with DC Comics and just loves this cartoon version of Batman. Simple, right? That is a long sentence, but it explains the show perfectly. And he stuck to it. I don't know how long ago he wrote the bio, or the description of the show, but even from, I guess this first episode was like in 2015. 6 years later, it's what the show is now. It's really cool. And that's, just a great example of how to write a bio and how to have an idea of what you want from your podcast from the very beginning and why the prep work is so important, which we've talked about several times. But yeah, I love the show. I can't remember how I found it or where I found it, but I'm glad I found it. It is, to me, an example of what a podcast should be. It should be niche. It should have a specific targeted market that you're talking about and should be talking about a specific topic. That's the only way you're going to get a lot of people to listen because they're going to find you first. If somebody Googles Batman in the Animated Series, I guarantee the podcast comes up. If somebody's like, man, I used to love that show, or they see a clip of it, or maybe they watch one of the new Dark Knight movies or the newest Batman movie, they're also going to be like, wow, I missed Batman, the Animated Series. And then the podcast is going to pop up. Really cool. They're going to be making Batman movies for the rest of eternity and Batman comics for the rest of eternity and cartoons because it's just such a great character. So for example, if you have a niche topic on something, whether it's a TV show, something you just love, a TV show, a hobby, a skill that you have that not many people have, and you start a podcast about it, people are going to search for that and you're going to come up because you're so niche, you're so targeted. And that's something that a lot of podcasts go wrong doing is they want to talk about everything. I did a podcast a while back called 3 Men Talk, and we talked about current events, and it was cool. It was really cool. I had a lot of fun. Got really close to a couple of the brothers I did it with, but we talked about so much, it's kind of hard to share it because you have popular radio shows that you're competing with. You have social media influencers. You have athletes and other people, comedians, and just regular TV shows that you're competing with when you're talking about current events and news. It's much better to have a specific topic and a specific goal that you have with every show, with whatever podcast you do. Second, I love the production of it. The intro, let me see if I can play it. Hopefully this works.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am also a podcast.
I am a podcast.
Whoa!
It's a show. Audio only though.
What is it about? If you have time,
I can tell you that it is a podcast about Batman, a Batman podcast.
What did you want me to say in this part? It's a show.
All right. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but that is like the intro is like perfectly encapsulates what you're going to expect from the show. It's cool. I mean, it's funny. It's like variety. There's, some sketch comedy in there, but it also has the theme song from the show or a variation of the theme song. I don't know how much they kept. It talks about Batman. It has his voice. It has Friend's voice. It's great. It's perfect for this podcast. And that's, so that's a part of the production. And that's from episode 1. He created that episode 1 and he still uses it. So that's really cool. Second, When guests come on the show, he still sounds great. When when I don't know if he's interviewing everybody in person and he's bringing his own mics, or if there's a studio that he uses, or if he's just calling people on the phone. But all the guests always sound great. There's no different quality that you can easily tell, at least from all the episodes that I've listened to. I haven't listened to one in a while, but I'm going to binge listen again here soon. And then, if he plays any sound clips or clips from the show, there's no levels that are out of whack. There's nothing crazy going on with the audio. So that's great. And it's an audio only podcast. He doesn't do any video, so he knows what he wants. So that's great as well. So it's good. It's great. It's great produced. It's a great produced show. That's a key. I don't know what his background is as far as tech goes, audio engineering or whatever, but it's a well-produced show. Also, I like that he brings on actors and his friends, not just one or the other. I like that he's creative that way. That's, again, he's doing a lot of cool things that I think exemplifies what a great podcast is, because with the podcast, you can do whatever you want to. You don't have, a corporate marketing department telling you what to do. You don't have donors or, investors telling you what you can and can't talk about. You can do whatever you want to on a podcast. And I don't think enough people take advantage of that. You can do whatever you want to with your own podcast. And that's the really cool thing about his show is that he has on not just actors and people who worked on the show, people like Kevin Conroy, who's the voice of Batman. He has, and I'm just looking through right now, I think it's Murphy Cross, who was the voice of Two-Face. He has, who was another one? Andrea Romano was a recurring guest, and I really enjoyed her because I also see her name as a casting director for a lot of animated shows. So to me, I learned about her here, but now I see her everywhere, and I realize how important, successful she is. Paul Dini was he was the creator of a lot of the Batman, show. I don't know, his whole bio right offhand, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool the amount of people he was able to get on the show and the amount of big names he was able to get. So Paul Dini was the writer and creator of Harley Quinn, which is really incredible when you think about it, because now Harley Quinn is her own thing. So that's pretty cool. So he was able to get her on the show. Him, the creator of Harley Dean on the show. This is really cool. If you know anything about Batman, that's cool. But he also brings on his friends and, just other actors or sketch comedians, just people who love Batman, the animated series. So he brings them on the show as well to add their comedic talent or to add their nostalgia that they gain from the show, and which is one cool thing that I get from it, and why I like it so much is because not only am I learning more about each episode, but by having his friends on, it reminds me that, I was a preteen, 12-year-old, 13-year-old at one point too, and I loved watching this show after getting home from school off the bus or whatever. So yeah, it's cool, really cool. Number 4, it evolves over time. It evolves over time. In the beginning, he was doing, hour-long shows. Some were closer to 2 hours because he would have an actor on and do an hour-long interview with them, and then have his friend on and do 45 to an hour-long interview with them. And it was all really good. Like you zone out, listen to it, but you listen, you get really engaged listening to it. Oh, I mentioned he had Kevin Conroy on. I forgot to have some video clips, right? Kevin Conroy is the voice of Batman. He is much better than this guy. Even though I love the Dark Knight series, he's much, much better than that guy. This guy.
I swear to God.
Swear to me!
I don't know. I never knew. Never. They went to some guy.
This is Kevin Conroy.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
That's Batman, right? That's the voice you think about when you think of Batman. It's not this guy in the rain. I never liked his voice. I love the Dark Knight, but I never liked the voice he chose to use in the movie. Anyway, that's a side note. I just think it's really cool the amount of people he was able to get on the show. from the show. All right, cool. So, and then, yeah, it evolves over time. So he has people like Kevin Conroy. He has all these great actors. But also, it looks like in 2018, he took basically all of 2018 off. You know, he did some shows in 2016. He went from doing, he's done weekly shows, bi-weekly shows. He's done monthly, you know, put them out monthly. But he just keeps going and it keeps evolving. And he takes time off and he comes back to it. And it's awesome. Even in, I think recently, like last June or whatever, June or July, he did a week-long, just a week-long run, releasing an episode every day for an entire week for 7 days to help raise money for charity. That's really cool. You can do that with the podcast. You know, you can do whatever you want to. It doesn't matter how much money he raised. The fact is that he raised money for charity. He tried to do something. Yeah, so I think it's really cool. From this, he's also, you know, had a couple other spin-off episodes and podcasts. He took time off. He came back and did it. I think this is a great podcast, and you should be doing that as well. You should be trying to innovate and do things different on your podcast. Otherwise, again, you're just adding to the noise, which is more of what we don't need. And the X factor, kind of what I think about when I listen to a podcast and I'm trying to decide if it's great or not is, do I feel like I could be a part of this show? You know, do I feel like these people would welcome me as a friend while I'm listening, if that makes sense? Could I go on the show and fit in? That's what I'm listening for. Do I feel, are they able to engage me enough and make me feel engaged enough to where I feel like I'm a part of the show, rather. I don't have to go there, but if I meet them in person, I could be a part of the show. And I get that when I listen to the BTA podcast. I get that. Other podcasts, for example, another great podcast that I'm listening to recently is called I Am Athlete. I wish I had the logo to show you, but it's called I Am Athlete. It's on YouTube. I don't know if they have an audio show or not, but it's a great show, right? It's with former NFL stars Brandon Marshall, Chad Johnson, a.k.a. Ocho Cinco, Channing Crowder, and Fred Taylor. And they've had Michael Vick on. They've had Cam Newton on. They've had Baker. I think Baker Mayfield was on there. But yeah, so great show, great interviews, great topics they talk about, but I don't feel like I would even fit in, you know? So I don't think they have the X factor that makes me feel like I'm a part of it. You know, it feels almost too out of my league. You know, it's a pro league. It almost feels too out of my league. So I don't feel as though I would fit in with them. Like if I saw them in person, I wouldn't even go up to them and say, hello, I heard your podcast. I probably wouldn't even say that. Versus Batman the Animated Series, if I ever met Justin Michaels in person, I would be like, wow, I love your show. Thank you for putting it together. That type of thing. I would fanboy out a little bit. But if I met, you know, it's other podcasts who have great shows, but I just don't feel like I'm a part of it. So I think that's the X factor. You know, there's a meme maybe I'll put it up in post, but there's a meme where, you know, it's a young guy sitting in front of a poster of, you know, white girls talking. It's like a little young ethnic kid. And he's talking about how the caption reads, what it feels like listening to a podcast. You know, you're laughing and having fun with them like you're there, but even though you're not, you know, that's the X factor. Okay. So that said, perseverance is not a long race. It is many short races, one after the other, by Walter Elliott. And that's what this podcast is. That's what most great podcasts are. The more I learned, it's not about a long race. Like if you stop your podcast for a little bit, that's fine. Pick it back up. Keep going. Start over. If you are in the majority of podcasts that stop after episode 7, that's fine. Pick it back up later. Just continue to persevere. Like maybe you have to take a week off or 2 weeks off, play an older episode and keep it going. You don't have to record every week. You can take a break and do a month of past episodes just to catch back up with your work schedule and let life continue to happen. You know, you can keep going. It's okay. Persevere. Keep going. That's the key to having success in podcasting, having success in business, is just to keep going. Maybe you fail a little bit, maybe you fall down, but you can get back up. If you fall down, if you can look up, you can get up. Yeah. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you being a part of the Pod on the Go show. Thank you, Justin Michaels, for producing a great show, Batman the Animated Podcast. Go check it out. Go leave a rating or review, and then do the same for my show, Pod on the Go Show. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you later. Peace.